Hello and welcome back to Coffee Break Book Reviews with Molly Schaefer. Okay, so today we're going to be reviewing a book, a middle grade book by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. It is called The War That Saved My Life. And what's really awesome about this book is I read this a year ago and I'm still obsessed with this book. And there is a second book to this book. It's a series and I have it right here. It's called The War I Finally Won. And I'm still reading this book, so I don't really know how everything ends. So what's really amazing about this book is last week, if you watched the episode, I tend to like books that are heartfelt, where the protagonist or the main character has to overcome some kind of crippling event. And in this book, that's actually a reality. So the main character, she is 10 years old. Her name is Ada, and she was born with a club foot. And when the book itself takes place during World War II, and she's actually like kept away from society by her mom. She has a little brother named Jamie. I think he's about 6 years old. And we're unsure of their actual ages until you read a little bit further into the book and you realize why you're unsure of the ages. Their mother is incredibly abusive and just a downright horrible antagonist, terrible villain woman who doesn't really have a shred of anything good about her. And so Ada is left inside of like this one room apartment where her mom leaves her all the time. They don't even have a restroom, so Ada has to use a bucket, which is pretty disgusting. And her brother Jamie is allowed to go to school, and Ada's not. She watches the kids as they go to school and she waves at them from her little tiny window. And that's the only connection she has with the outside world, outside of her brother and her mother. And she overhears one day that the children in London are going to have to go away because Germany may bomb the big cities including London. And she decides she's gonna like teach herself to walk. So Ada teaches herself how to walk, and she decides that she's going to take her brother and they're going to go to the school and leave with the other children. And they actually get on a train and they go to a little village called Kent. And when they're there, Ada is able to like see how other children are treated by their parents. She's able to see that other children are clean and she's not, and she's able to try to communicate with these kids. A lot of them snub her and a lot of them don't. And by the time that they get to Kent, she and her brother are put into a line where people from the village are able to come down and take these kids home to watch out for them during this time period. And Jamie, her little brother, and Ada are not picked up. Like, they're not picked out at all. They're left behind. And this woman who she calls like this iron-willed woman, we later find out her name is Lady Thornton, she actually takes the kids to another woman in the village who did not show up to pick up kids, and her name is Susan. Now, it never comes right out and says that Susan suffers from depression, but you later find out that Susan not only suffers from depression, she suffers from like anxiety, and she's in mourning because her best friend died, leaving Susan to stay in this home by herself. And the best friend loved horses, and Susan has this horse named Butter. And Ada actually grows this kinship with this horse, and even though she's crippled, she decides she's going to learn how to ride a horse. Like she saw a child or a girl riding a horse while she was on the train, and she never realized that you could ride a horse and watch it gallop. And so Ada has this desire with everything inside of her that she's going to learn how to gallop on this horse. So Ada has this snarky, sarcastic, quirky personality, and the entire time I was reading this book, we were actually listening to it on Audible. And my husband, every time Ada would say something snarky or quirky, because she doesn't really understand social cues, and she's been locked away from people, and so she speaks her mind. And I have a tendency to speak my mind and be snarky and sarcastic, and Ada is very similar. So anytime she would say something to Susan or to Jamie or to Lady Thornton, especially if she was being combative and not like disrespectful necessarily, but definitely willing to challenge people in authority. And I'm a challenger, so my husband would look over at me and be like essentially, that's you. So I grew this really beautiful kinship with Ada because she did remind me of myself, and she's disabled, and she's not going to let the disability stop her, and she's going to walk regardless of how painful that's going to be, and she's going to gallop that horse regardless of how many times she gets thrown off. She refuses to relent to her circumstances, which is incredible. And the way that she loves her brother fiercely, loyally. He is her little boy, and she will do everything in her power to take care of him, especially during these uncertain times. Susan becomes an incredible mom to them, even though she doesn't necessarily want to be a mom, and Ada definitely does not want her to be her mom. She becomes their surrogate mother, and she loves them. She takes care of them. She teaches them. Ada starts learning how to read and starts learning arithmetic. Yeah, she fights it, but she learns, and she becomes a pivotal member of the village. People trust her. People love her. She goes to Lady Thornton's house with Lady Thornton's daughter, Maggie. Maggie falls off of her horse. Ada's there to save her and protect her, to ride her to Lady Thornton's house. And she meets Fred, the man who's in charge of taking care of Lady Thornton's horses. And this beautiful friendship develops between Ada and Maggie. And you just see how people come together in times of great distress, and how even in the face of fear, even in the face of the unknown, even when they are told that they have to go to bomb shelters because Kent is being bombed, even with the threat of the Nazi army looming over their heads, they rise above. And I can tell you, beyond a reasonable doubt, that The War That Saved My Life is a 5-star book. If you enjoy books that make you laugh, make you cry, make you angry, and then laugh again, then I think you should pick this little gem up.